Welcome back, guys. This video is all about the JavaScript for loop, and this is the third and final type of loop which we'll be looking at in this section. So if you've understood how the while loop works and the do while loop works from previous videos, you shouldn't have any problems understanding how a for loop works. So let's begin with its own folder in the control flow section, and this is video number 9, for loops. And then let's open it up in brackets. And then change the title to for loops. And we can leave this loop for a reference. So for loops are useful for when we know how many times we want to repeat that loop, whereas a while loop will run until a condition is no longer true. In a for loop, we need to set how many times it will run. So we begin a for loop with the for keyword, and then this should look fairly familiar from the rest of the videos. We use the brackets and then a set of curly braces. So in a while loop or a do while loop, we set the variable, and this is set outside of the loop. While using a for loop, we need to put in 3 different values in between the brackets. So the first one is the initial value of the variable. So I'm going to use I once more, and the 3 values need to be separated with a semicolon. The second value is the condition we want to test against. So as an example, we want to run the loop while I is less than 10, and then a semicolon. And just like previous loops, we can use pretty much what we want in here. We can use equals or any other of the operators. The third value is going to be our incrementer. So again, I'm going to use I++ to increment the value by 1 in every loop. And we can also use the same document write from the last video. So put that inside the curly braces, and we can just delete this for now. Okay, so that's how a for loop looks. So we initially set the value to be 1, and the loop will keep running while the value of I is less than 10, and with every pass of the loop, I is incremented by 1. So we should get the values of 1 right through to 9 printed when we open this up in the browser. There we go, so we've got 1 through to 9, so that's all working correctly. Okay, so just like while loops, we can also use a for loop to loop through the values of an array. So let's take a look at how we can do that in a for loop. So let's use our foods example that we looked at in the while loop. So again, I'm going to put in pasta, pizza, and then fish, and then create the for loop just like we used above. So let's declare the value of I initially. So I is set to 0 because the index of 0 is the first value of an array. So we want that to start at 0. And then the number of times we want to loop through is equal to the number of values inside the array. So while I is less than foods.length. And you may be wondering why we're using less than rather than equal to the length of the array. Well, that's simply because the length property begins at 1 rather than 0. So that's why we need to do that. And then a semicolon, and the third value is our incrementer. So I++. And then let's set a document write. And then we want to print out the value of the foods array. And then inside the square brackets, we want to pass in I. So initially I is set to 0, which is the value of pasta. And then we'll loop through, and I will be incremented, and then be the value of 1, which is pizza. And then the third and final loop, I will be set to 2, which is the third value of fish. So let's just run that now with a break tag, so they're all on separate lines. So break tag in there, and then let's refresh that in the browser, and there's our 3 values of pasta, pizza, and fish. So there you go. So that's how a for loop works in JavaScript. And in the next video, we'll be taking a look at using these in a mini challenge.